Hello, I'm Mayor of Zebulon, Bob Matheny, and this is, guess what, the Zebulon Mayor Show. Glad to have you with us today. We're down at Public Works Facility on East Horton. It's not something that you drive by very frequently. I would guess you probably don't anyway, unless you live on out that way. We're going to be talking about what we have here. But first, I wanted to talk just a little bit about our work session that we had last week, middle of June anyway, and we finally adopted a budget for the upcoming year. And we had some minor tweaking done at the last. We held a public hearing that night. Interestingly enough, no one came and spoke, but we did adopt it. And next month, I'm going to have our show. This show will be about the budget for the upcoming year, so you'll understand what we do financially, both in receipts and expenditures. So anyway, having said that, the work session went very quickly, and now we're going to move and talk about Public Works in Zebulon. Be right back. Okay, welcome back. Joining me now is Chris Ray, our Public Works Director. Glad to have you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you inviting me.
You've been our Public Works Director how long now?
Since merger in 2006, October 2006. So that puts it almost 7 years, a little more.
And how long totally?
I have served with the town of Zebulon 21 years in January, this past January. So it's
I reckon we'll keep you then.
well,
or you'll keep us.
Yeah, definitely. The town has been very good to me and my family, and I enjoy working here. So it's a good win for all of us.
Well, you know, Chris, I thinking about where to shoot a show, and I know you've done a show with me before, but I guess a lot of people just don't know the resources that we have down here, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today.
Yeah, I mean, we've been very fortunate from yourself and the other council members over the years to get quite a bit of resources down here that really help make our job easier and make us more efficient. So we greatly appreciate that, and glad you could come down here today.
Well, you're quite welcome. Let's start off with some projects that are in the hopper coming up over the next year, and tell people about those. Starting with, we'll talk about Shepherd School. That's been a saga, hasn't it?
It has been a little bit of a project that's been on go, then got put on hold. As you recall, last October, we basically came in over budget, and due to that being over budget, we decided to put the project on hold and go out and seek some additional CDBG funding, which we were able to secure, which was good.
And let me stop you. CDBG is Community Development Block Grant.
Yes, sir.
I know these folks might not know.
It's one of those things you deal with every day.
I know.
Sometimes you just spit out the anagram. So, so we basically were able to secure additional funding from CDBG grant officials. And actually on June 12th, we got the structures unit to approve the modification to include the fence on the bridge. And just the other day, the 23rd, we sent the full packet to Mike Neese with NCDOT to get the final blessing and approval. So we're looking to be moving forward with the project. Right now, tentatively, we have a schedule to advertise the bid first week of July. We hope to have a pre-bid meeting with all the contractors interested in the project. This project, since it's got federal funding from NCDOT for a grant of $100,000, it also has the CDBG funding is also federal, so we have a lot of federal requirements. So we want to take this time at the pre-bid and make sure all our contractors are aware of these requirements and make sure everybody's on the same page. The last thing we want to do is open up a bid and somebody forget to complete one step. And unfortunately, that might have been the low bidder, and we really wanted to work with them. And so we want to try to get everybody on the same page from day one. So we have all our I's dotted and T's crossed on bid day, and the bids are what it is.
Well, let's be sure that everyone knows what we're talking about. This sidewalk goes from the Zebulon Middle School down to the Boys and Girls Club. So that not just for the children, but there's a lot of children that traverse that area back and forth, and so it's a real safety issue to have it there.
It clearly is. You can, if you travel up and down that road, you can actually see the path that the kids have worn in the grass and stuff. So we hopefully with this project will put in about 1,800 linear feet of sidewalk, some curb and gutter, some storm drainage. We're going to make some bridge safety improvements by raising the parapet wall by a foot, adding a 2-foot guardrail, and also putting in the new 8-foot high safety fence. So clearly it'll make a big difference for those kids commuting back and forth.
Okay, well, that's a good project. It's been a long, ongoing, seemed like roadblocks thrown in front of us, but it sounds like we're on the right track now. Now, there's another sidewalk in the hopper that also will help school children. So let's talk about
yes.
that.
We were fortunate last year. We applied for a NCDOT Campo grant for Whitley Street and Stronach Street sidewalk improvements. And so we did receive that grant. It's in it's approximately, project is $130,000. The NCDOT grant funding was $104,000. We'll be adding about 260 linear feet of sidewalk on Whitley Street and about 905 feet of sidewalk on Stronach Avenue. And so the project is tentatively, we placed it on hold because we're also applied for a second grant that would eliminate any town funding, so it'd be a 100% funded grant. And we finished 8th in the Campo grant process, which allowed us to be eligible for safe routes to school, since it does connect to Shepherd School Road, which is, of course, we all know is Zebulon Elementary School. Zebulon Middle School, excuse me.
Right.
And so we hope to hear back from that on January 2015. And if we get funding for that, there will be no town funds vested in it. It will be all grant funds. And if not, we have appropriated $25,000 in this year's budget to take care of that additional funding.
Right.
And,
That gives a lot of nice sidewalks for people to traverse. Well, actually, on Whitley Street, they could come back from all the way from 97 to the Boys and Girls Club.
Yes,
by sidewalk.
absolutely.
So that would be a lot. Okay, we also have some stormwater issues on Yates Place that we're approaching.
Yes, sir. Last year we got a call from the residents out in Yates Place about some flooding that was occurring. We was not aware of anything like that, but once they did call us, we were able to go out there and document some of the flooding that was occurring. Basically, during heavy rains, that cul-de-sac would flood, and actually water would rise over the curb and down into the residents' property and stuff. And clearly, that's not an ideal condition for it. So we basically done a little preliminary engineering report, which was completed by Green Engineering for us, and we presented that at y'all's council retreat. Got some good feedback from y'all on that. And as the budget process went forward this year, we were able to get phase one included in the budget. Phase one is going to incorporate two new catch basins in the cul-de-sac. It's going to upsize the 24-inch existing RCP pipe, which is reinforced concrete pipe, to 36-inch, and put in a level spreader so when the water does discharge from that area, it does not cause any erosions downstream. So basically, with the recent adoption of the budget, we've started our conversation with Green Engineering. We will start that full negotiations to get them under contract in July. From there, we'll get full design done. We'll obtain a few easements we need to obtain with the goal of March of 2015 going to bid. Bidding process probably take us about a month. Then notice proceed. And we hope to have the construction on ground starting in June of 2015 with a 90-day construction schedule. So we'll be constructing during June, July, and August, and shortly thereafter hope to wrap it up. But phase one should take care of the flooding that we have in the cul-de-sac, and I know the residents are very excited about it.
Well, those folks that don't know where Yates Place is, it's on the western side of Wedgwood. Mm-hmm. And when that street was built, there were no catch basins, no storm drainage put in. There were the drains down at the cul-de-sac that were in originally, I'm assuming.
Yes, sir.
And you know, so we looked, when you said phase one, we looked at storm drain all the way up the street, plus enlarging the drains at the cul-de-sac. You just can't afford to do everything, so
absolutely.
So we decided if we enlarge those, that maybe that will get the water on out of there quicker.
Of course, the immediate problem we want to take care of is the flooding, and clearly phase one of this project will do that. Hopefully, our budget will get a little bit better in the next several years, and we'll be able to complete phase two. But phase one takes care of an immediate problem we need to address now.
It's going to provide relief.
Absolutely,
right.
absolutely.
Okay. Well, as I stated earlier, what I wanted to do is make people aware of the resources that you have down here, and we're going to have pictures of that as we talk. Talk about some of the equipment that you have available. down
Well,
here?
like I mentioned earlier, we've been fortunate that the Zebulon Board of Commissioners and yourself have blessed us with a lot of equipment. It really makes our job much easier. From our knuckle boom truck, which we pick up yard waste with weekly. We also have a leaf truck that is now it's basically a one-arm bandit that a guy operates with a joystick and is able to pick up leaves during the leaf season. We have backhoes, we have mini excavators, we have trucks with snow plows, we have brine equipment that allows us to put brine out during the winter time. We have salt spreaders when when we go to once we get the buildup of snow on the roads, we can put salt out. So we are really blessed with a lot of resources down here to whatever problem is ahead of us, we can typically address it and handle it. So again, thank y'all for the resources.
And we welcome you. You also have a really nice maintenance center for all of that.
Yes, sir. We are blessed to have about a 5,000 square foot facility out back where we do all our preventative maintenance. It allows us to store some of our equipment from our sweepers or a ramjet or a back trailer that have water on board. And so in the wintertime, they're in here. And if we got to go out for emergency, we can pull them straight out, not having to stop to fill up water, because if it's outside, it'll freeze and cause all kinds of problems with pumps. So we are very blessed to have that, and we do appreciate that.
Well, all of your equipment and all of our police cars and others need fuel. Let's talk about what you have available.
We also have a fueling station on site, which allows us to fuel police vehicles, fire vehicles, public works vehicles 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In an event of emergency, really, when you really need those emergency services from public works, fire, and police, we have the backup generator here that will keep the fueling station online, and we'll have excess capacity. We have capacity in there to meet whatever our needs for an emergency, where some other places might have to go somewhere and the power be out and we couldn't get gas. So we try to be self-efficient. When our residents need us the most, we have the resources here to be able to respond. And so the fueling station clearly is a benefit to have here.
And if somebody drives by, it's right adjacent to the building. It's very obvious. Folks might say, "What's that?" But,
What's that?
But that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's a fueling station.
So we have about 6,000 gallons of E10 on hand. We have a little over 2,000 gallons of highway diesel and some off-road diesel. So whatever our equipment needs or police department needs, we can provide that resource.
Well, let's talk about yard waste. You mentioned the leaf truck. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, we were blessed to have the knuckle boom, which we go out bi-weekly. The town is divided into 2 zones. We put out a calendar annually that is in our newsletter. You can pick it up on our website. It tells you which zone you're in. And the yard knuckle boom truck is operated by one operator with a big claw that basically reaches out and grabs that debris and puts it in the back truck and then hauls it to our recycling center for dumping. One of the things we always try to remind everybody is when you place your yard waste out there, be cognizant of where your pedestal boxes are, guide wires, cable boxes. The last thing we want you to do is to cover that up and we reach in that big claw and we just bit cable box and phone service. We don't want that to interrupt your service. So let's just be cognizant of that and separate those piles away from those items.
Well, the number one question I get about that is, do I need to cut these down to 4-foot lengths?
No, sir, you do not. Our bed, as long as we tell everybody, if you can get it to the road yourself, our truck will pick it up. Our truck will pick up over 4,000 pounds right beside it, and the bed length's 18 feet long. So if you can keep it with under 18 feet long and you can personally get it to the curb, my truck will pick it up.
Yeah.
So that's a really nice thing. You don't have to cut it up, bundle it up, and all those things.
I guess maybe a month ago, I asked one of your fellows, about it, and he said, "Yeah, that 16 foot's great." Because it's less. They get it all in one pop. So, that knuckle boom truck, you see it all over town, and it's well used. I know
it is. It's one of those things. As you get a piece of equipment, you find more and more things you can do with it. We've actually, when we was building the municipal complex, we had to demo some sidewalks. So we saw cutted the joints and reached, took another boom, picked it up, and put it in the back of the truck. Right. Nobody had to physically pick it up. Nobody had to hurt their back. We also use the knuckle boom truck for our bulky waste pickup from couches, mattresses, all those things. And clearly it's a labor saver.
Well, look, while we're on that, you mentioned sofas or whatever, but basically you'll pick up anything but construction debris.
Well, yes, basically, yes, we'll pick up any kind of bulky items that will not fit in your trash can. We will not pick up construction debris. We can't pick up anything that's considered hazardous, like oil or antifreeze or gas, like those type of things. We will pick up your used grill or your used mower, but we ask you for on the grills we can't pick up the LP tank for them. Your lawnmowers and stuff that we pick up, we ask you to drain the oil and drain the gas out of those, and we'll be glad to pick those items up for you. And that's included with the bulky waste garbage charge that you pay monthly.
Any type of white goods, refrigerators,
dishwashers,
washing machine,
freezers.
yeah, anything. And all that is included in the monthly fee, so it's not like you're going to get a separate bill.
That's correct.
for it.
That's correct. And that's done every Friday throughout town. We go through and pick up. So we ask you to have those items out on the curb prior to 7 a.m. And generally the route's completed by 11:30, 12 o'clock each Friday.
Very good. Well, let's talk about leaves for a minute then.
Leaf collection is something we do year-round. Clearly, it picks up in the fall and in the winter months with the leaves falling. But we do have residents do put them out year-round. We do pick those up year-round. We do ask you to keep it loose, not to bag those leaves. So our automated arm with the vacuum on it can come by and just suck up those leaves into the hopper and stuff. The same things we encourage you about the yard waste. Don't put them near other obstacles and pedestals, phone pedestals, cable pedestals, or guidelines of phone. Just makes it easier for us to get up. The other thing a lot of times we try to notify people is to make sure you place it behind the curb, because for two reasons. When you place it in the curb and in the roadway, it narrows the roadway, and so it makes it more difficult for vehicles to pass by. And secondly, when it rains and all those leaves and that stuff could clog up our storm drainage and could cause some flash flooding. So we always try to remind everybody to place their leaves and yard waste behind the curb, and we'll pick it up from there.
Very good. All right. You did not mention that you had a street sweeper when you talked about equipment, so let's talk about street sweeping.
Yes, sir. We do have a street sweeper. Last budget year, the town bought us a new street sweeper. It is quite a bit bigger than the last one. It allows us to work a little better in the heavier debris. Our schedule for street sweeping is we sweep downtown weekly for our downtown businesses. We also street sweep twice a month, Shepherd School Road, Gannon Avenue, and Arundel Avenue. And then all residential streets are swept once a month.
With curbing.
With curbing, yes, sir.
Yeah,
With curbing,
yeah.
yes, sir. So throughout town, we probably will sweep a total of about 25 miles throughout the month.
Right.
And stuff, trying to keep the streets clean and neat and stuff. A lot of people in downtown, they say, I hear you say you sweep downtown. And I said, yeah, we sweep downtown once a week. Well, when do you come? Well, we're there at 5 a.m. in the morning, so there's not generally many people around. Just because of the parked cars, it makes it easier. Yeah. So we get that question quite a bit. We don't see you sweeping downtown. Well, you're going to have to get up early to catch up with our guys. We get started early.
Right.
Gotcha.
Well, let's talk about stormwater. That's a mandated program that we have. Let's tell people about that a little bit.
Yes, it's a state mandated program. We've been under the mandated program for about 2 years now. Unfortunately, the program comes without any resources, which always makes our job here more difficult. But our state permit requires us to do several things. It requires us to do public education. It also requires us to have public opportunities to volunteer, like our stenciling program we did in some of the subdivisions a year or so ago. We also have to detect for illegal discharge of stormwater. We have to manage the construction site runoff. We got to manage the post, what I call quantity and quality. The post amount of quantity that's coming out and the pre. They basically have to match, and they basically have to install what's called BMPs, best management practices, to make those equal. Right. The other side of that is the quality side of it. We want to make sure that the quality of water leaving that site is good. One of the myths, most people ask about stormwater, well, don't you treat it? No, actually that is run straight off from the property, down the curb, in the catch basin, and straight into the creeks without any treatment. A lot of times they get them confused with wastewater, which is treated. Right. So, anything that could be in the leaves, or it could be running off the site of sediment, is not treated. So this has a direct impact on our streets, on our stormwater system, and the creeks and all which we get potable water from, and recreate in at lakes and reservoirs and stuff.
Well, it's just an effort to have clean water, to not pollute. You know, and everybody's seen red clay running off construction sites
Yes, sir.
sometime in their life, and this is set up to prevent that. And also, as part of the stormwater management is not to have flooding like you have on Yates Place.
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, when that project was put in, the engineer, in my opinion, didn't do his due diligence. So
Right.
now we're having to come in and correct that. So we try to catch that stuff up front so those things don't happen. Don't want to go through the talking about the stormwater program without talking about our interlocal agreement with Wake County and Debbie Riles. She does a lot of that development and erosion control and development pre and post stuff with our developers in the community. So we want to thank Debbie for her hard work, and she's been a great resource for us to work with to accomplish our stormwater goals.
Well, Chris, I know that part of your job is to facilities, grounds designs, construction maintenance, this sort of thing. You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, if you see construction going on in town, typically Public Works is involved with it. Some smaller projects, the individual departments will handle it, but some of the most of the large projects that are done in town are handled through our Public Works department. A couple of examples of that of people have seen when we done the renovation at Town Hall, renovation at the police station, that was Public Works. You know, this past year we've done a HVAC renovation at the Town Hall. The ball field lightings at the Zebulon Elementary School Park or the Zebulon Community Park, we put those things in. So the larger, the big projects generally fall under Public Works. Our Parks and Rec department does do some small projects and all, and a couple other, the fire department will manage some small projects from time to time.
Right.
But generally we get the big ones, and just based on our experience and expertise.
Well, and it's appreciated too. Let's talk a little bit about sidewalks, maintenance. I guess the real question is, how do you determine the priority of which sidewalk gets the attention when?
Yes. First of all, we got to remind everybody that in the town there's three sets of streets. There's streets that are owned and maintained by NCDOT, streets owned and maintained by the town of Zebulon, and there are a few private streets in town. So depending on which street you're on, it tells who's the responsible party. If you're not sure, we encourage you to call Public Works and we'll help you with those things. Streets that are inside the town of Zebulon, we do maintain. Typically each year we go out and grade those streets. We grade them on a 10-step scale that looks at different types of cracking, for whether it's transverse, longitudinal, alligator, or shrinkage cracks. We look at ride quality, look if it has potholes. We look if there's any pushing or shoving of asphalt, and so we put a grade on all those. And if it has defects in it, we subtract it from 100. And typically when a street gets below 80, we're looking to mill and pave those streets and stuff. So we have a total of, I think it's 19.7 miles of streets in town that the Zebulon Public Works Department is responsible for.
Well, my understanding too is that we're in the hopper, so to speak, to have downtown repaved.
Yes, sir, that is
Might
correct. The NCDOT has released a contract. They have not set a timetable, but what I've been assured is that from Gannon Avenue to the railroad will be repaved this year. They assured me that it'll be hopefully done by September. DOT issued a large quantity of roads to be resurfaced, and they did not dictate an order to the contractor, so the contractor sets that order. So as soon as I hear something about when it will be, we'll get that out to our public, but that is a street that is in much need of being resurfaced.
Well, if it's going to make September, it's going to have to come on in high gear.
Yeah.
So, but that's good news. I get a lot of complaints about downtown.
Well, we had too, so
I know you have.
glad to see they're going to take care of that for us.
Well, you mentioned briefly snow removal, brine application. You have sort of that thing. I will compliment you because I've had a lot of compliments that I've received on the job you did last year.
Yeah.
It was just people would say it was night and day when they drove into town. So,
Well, I don't do it alone, so I want to give the credit to really my staff. They put in a lot of long hours and stuff to make sure the roads are safe. We can get our emergency equipment out, and to thank y'all for giving us the equipment to do it. We're only as good as the resources we have, and y'all clearly have helped us with those. But yeah, last year was a tough year. It seemed like every time I turned around, I was up there asking yourself and the board for some more salt,
Yeah.
because we'd had, I think, 5 storms, and so that was a little uncommon. So,
well,
it's-
you did a good job, and I wanted our people to know you're the ones that were doing that.
Yeah.
And we appreciate it very much.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about residential construction and inspections and that sort of thing. We contract with the county to do building inspections, and have done that for many, many years. Back in the early 80s, I think, is when we first started doing that. But there are certain inspections that your department does.
Yes, sir. Anytime basically a new subdivision or a new road is built in town, and anytime that asset is going to be dedicated to the town of Zebulon, we want to be there from the start to the finish. We want to make sure that it's put into our specifications. We want to make sure the asphalt temperatures are right. We get the compaction on it. We got good compaction on subgrade. We want to make sure that the stormwater infrastructure going in is not in conflict with water or sewer. If something does happen, you want to make sure there's plenty of separation where you can get in to fix the water or the sewer, much less the stormwater portion, which we're responsible for. So we spend quite a bit of time on site in new development as roads are put on. Here recently, we spent some time in Shepherd's Point when that residential subdivision come on, Weaver's Pond. And so we spend a lot of time coordinating and making sure that road's put in, because in our paving system, we expect the roads to last for 20 years. And so, like anything else, you got to start with a good foundation. So we want to be there from day one to make sure that foundation, which that asphalt is laid on, is supported properly.
Well, and saying the same thing in a different way is that when they dedicate it to the town, we want to be sure that we're not inheriting a problem.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you have to be involved from that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's talk about solid waste for a minute. We contract that out, but let's elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, we contract with Waste Industries. We've been with Waste Industries 10 plus years easily, and they've overall have typically provided a high level of service for us. If you have problems with trash, and they do occasionally occur, a cart will be broke. Occasionally, when they pick up the cart and go to dump it, it comes loose and it's in their actual truck. And of course, for safety reasons, they can't crawl in the trucks and get those out. So call down here, ask to speak with Robin. If Robin's not in, one of the other guys here will help you, and we'll get you a new cart and stuff out. But our trash services and trash and recycling services is every Monday. We ask you to get the carts out Sunday night, so they're in time for Waste Industries, who starts fairly early collecting those. Recycling is every other week. We have put a new sticker with the schedule on the cart, so you can use that as a reminder. If you would like additional sticker, please give Robin a call. We'll get you one out there delivered to you.
And it's Monday as well.
It's Monday as well.
Right.
Yeah, so everything in town, regardless of where you live in Zebulon, your trash and recycling pickup will be on Monday. So that's a recent change. We had a few headaches with it. I think we've overcome those, but it makes it much nicer. Wherever you live, it's Monday.
Right.
I know.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about streetlights for a minute.
Streetlights.
But the big thing is that people will call me and say, "Oh, my streetlight's out," and the simple thing is that there's a number on that pole. So elaborate on that.
Yes, sir. Clearly, we are responsible for the making sure the streetlights are working. We contract that service with Duke Progress Energy. It's a fairly healthy budget that we spend each year to make sure our streets and roadways are lit for safe passage of those. We're currently spending over $160,000 a year in just electricity costs, paying it to Progress Energy for that service. If you do have one that is out, they're typically going to be out in one or two ways. What we call cycling, that it comes on, stays on for a few minutes, and then comes back off, turns back off, and you'll see it cycling back through that cycle. if you'll notify that and tell us that, that's good information we can give to Progress Energy to go out and make the repairs. If it's just never comes on, we want to know that also. And so we can share that information with Progress Energy to hopefully get it done in a timely fashion. They got a fairly good response time. Typically, once we put the work order in with them, they respond within 3 days and we get a call back that it is working. But you're right, when you call in, if you can give us that type of information plus the number on the pole, which typically ends in BF, that is really helpful for us to not cause a delay and go on and get it fixed quicker.
Now, can people go online and report this stuff?
Yes, sir. We do have through our website a reporting. You can report any emergency, whether it's a pothole for asphalt, you need a sidewalk cleared, maybe the limbs have grown on, or a street light. There is a place under Public Works to report that. If you put that information into us, it immediately comes out to myself and my superintendents. And if it's an immediate hazard, we can address it immediately, even on the weekends or at night. And if it's just a street light, we'll have it the next morning first thing, and we can report that to Progress Energy. So
and
that works well for us.
If they just Google Town of Zebulon, bingo, it would carry you right to it. Well, that's really great. Well, you know, we talked about picking up leaves, we talked about picking up branches and all that, so let's talk about what you do with it.
Well, you know, throughout the year, we are out collecting that yard waste and leaves, and a lot of people would probably be surprised. We collect over 8,000 cubic yards of debris annually, which we have ground semi-annually here at the town. We just completed a delivery, a mulch return to our residents. We had some local farmers pick up some. We even had some out-of-town residents after we, out-of-town residents come and get some. After we cleared through all of our in-town residents, we allowed the out-of-town to come in with a truck or trailer, and we just loaded it for them, and they could go use it in their yards for landscaping material. But we are currently out of mulch. The tub grinder is actually on site today, grinding down there. He should be finished within the next week. One of the things we have to do is, through our permit for our facility, is that mulch that's there has to reach a temperature of 131 degrees. And everybody asks, why you gotta wait to 131 degrees? It's just wood debris. Well, a lot of times when people clean their yards and stuff, the animals have basically went to the restroom out there, and there's some waste stream in that, and it's all collected in the reeds. Well, by getting it at 131 degrees, we kill all the pathogens in it, and so we make sure it's safe for us distributed. We think we'll have some more mulch to give out to our residents probably the first week in August. And so if you're interested in that or wasn't able to get some the last time, just come by Town Hall. There's a waiver form, or stop by Public Works. Online, we have the waiver form, print it out, fax it in, email it in to us. We'll get you on the list. And probably a week before we start those deliveries again, we'll give you a call and let you know. So it's worked out really well to be able to give that back to our citizens.
It sounded like you had enough to satisfy all the in-town requests, so
yeah.
You know, hopefully maybe we can get some more.
Get some more. Well, you know, it's like anything else. Once you see your neighbor's got something, you ask, "Oh, it looks nice mulch.
Yeah.
Where'd you get it?" "I got it from the town free." "Free?"
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we're starting to get those calls trickling in. So you know, we'll be there ready to serve when the mulch comes ready.
So they can get in line right now.
Get in line right now.
Okay, very good.
Mm-hmm.
I know that your department helps a lot in community service events. Most recently, we Relay for Life. So let's talk about what you do there and at Town Hall with the Recreation Department and that sort of thing.
You know, yes, we definitely enjoy working on those type of projects. Relay for Life is one we've been participating in over the last 7 years. It's a tremendous organization, a lot of volunteers, and we're just glad to be able to participate with it. And when we were at Relay for Life, we set up basically all the light towers. We provide all the electrical for the cooking that's going on site, the sound, stage, all the microphones and stuff. We basically have set up 2 generators and a distribution network to allow people to plug in. So that's just, I have nothing but praise to say about Vicki and her staff that just pull off the Relay for Life. They do a real great service for Eastern Wake County and all. Like you said, we do help at other events, town events, sponsored events, whether it's movie night on the front lawn or whether it's Zebulon night out, farmers market. We're there behind the scenes supporting these other departments, and we do the same similar things we did for Relay for Life, whether it's power it's trash cans, it's cones and barricades to coordinate and manage traffic. So, and also erect some of the light towers. So you might not see us as much at these events, but we're behind the scenes making sure hopefully things go well. I know, but it's a big part of the stuff we like to give back to the community since it's been so good to us. So.
Well, I know that you do, and I know speaking to not just you but your staff as well, we very much appreciate the contributions you make to our community. Folks, I hope you've enjoyed some of the photography that has been going on as we've been talking, because it shows you the various things that we have, or that Chris and his crew has available to solve your problems or help you with them, or whatever the case may be. Again, if you have any concerns, feel free to give Chris a call, or if you can't get him, Robin will answer the phone up front, and you can leave the message with her, or you can just stop by.
Absolutely.
And come in. But your Public Works Department is hard at work for you, and we very much appreciate again what you're doing. I hope that you found this information to be useful. As I said earlier, next month we're going to talk about the budget and try to inform you about the finances of the town of Zebulon. So until then, good day.
Thank you.